What was a situation where you thought, FCK, I'm going to be fired for sure, but it turned out completely fine? I was working during the winter and we had next to no customers. I'm sitting in a comfy chair and doze off. I didn't even know my boss came in until I heard it. We have an air horn and he decided to come up behind me and blow it towards me into the chair. You can believe I was up and out of that chair hella quick, and my boss just ran off snickering and everyone else was just dying of laughter at my expense. Good day. I fell asleep while in the military. Was doing a job where I loaded data to an aircraft and it was literally press start and wait 2 hours. Couldn't leave. Had to watch it. Also just got done doing an exercise which is 2 weeks straight of 12-hour shifts minimum. So I was super tired. Fell asleep and woke up 2 hours later in a panic because I was sure I was fucked. Someone must have noticed. Found 2 of my co-workers, who were 2 ranks higher than me, just sitting there watching me with smiles. Was sure I was fucked. They knew I'd been asleep the entire time because they came and checked on me twice. But were super impressed I timed the wake up almost perfectly. Job was at 98% done, and just tousled my hair and walked away. Respects those 2 dudes so much after that and made sure to help them out whenever I could. Also became a running joke for years. A flight paramedic in my town backed an ambulance into a fixed wing aircraft and damaged the wing. Minimum $300,000 damage. The funny thing is, all paramedics are trained on runway protocols with a land ambulance. This training manual is provided by the air ambulance service. Except they don't train their flight medics on it because they almost never have to drive an ambulance. And so the guy got off without even a warning. They did email the manual to all the flight medics though, lol. I am a teacher. I broke up a fight. To break up the fight I had to punch a kid in his stomach. He was on the ground gasping for air while I pulled him off the other kid. I had a bad jaw infection because of a tooth. The doctor put me on antibiotics and gave me Tylenol with codeine. I took 2 before I went into work and brought a bottle with me. Well, after an hour the pain was still killing me, so I took another 2. Repeat every hour for 3 hours. Let's just say I could not stand up straight and was really out of it. Someone noticed me wobbling and got the boss. He came over and asked me if I was alright and what was wrong, so I told him. He asked me where the bottle was and then took it and locked it in his desk drawer. He walked back over to my workstation with a chair and asked if I was okay to keep working. I told him I was, so he sat me in the chair and let me continue. Never said a word to me about it after and gave me the bottle back at the end of the day. I was a teacher. Accidentally said the F word in front of the students since they were provoking me. None of the students bothered reporting it to the principal. I felt like I was pretty lucky. I worked in a call center for an internet provider and website host. I literally told one of our biggest customers. I believe it was actually the biggest. The dude had a website and 10 internet links with us. To find another provider. Since he was being overbearing and even said it was generally better just to pressure us, the attendants, instead of sending their own technicians to solve internal problems. Then, obviously, he said he wanted to talk with the manager, and I, very respectfully, denied this request, since I was doing my part of the protocol. Then, he threatened to call the commercial sector and talk to their manager himself. A little context here, the commercial was a shit. They're pretty much on the customer's side every single freaking time. I thought it was the end for me, but here comes the plot twist. The commercial indeed transferred the call to their manager, but he was busy and told them to just transfer to the CEO. And oh lord, they actually did it. The CEO himself told the guy to find another provider. I just started my apprenticeship in a hotel and was maybe there for 3 or 4 months. Up until the 6th month they can fire you for any reason. They don't even need to give you one. After the 6th month trail you really need to fuck up for them to be able to fire you. That day I was working with the manager of the banquet department. We finished our work around 2 hours into our shift and got bored. He then had the great idea of chilling on the rooftop and get some beer food on. I was hesitant because I was new, but hey, he is the manager. I will just go. I had nothing to do anyways. We grabbed another apprentice and went to the roof. The 2 guys had maybe 4-5 beers while I was drinking coke. I always hid their bottles behind a wall, in case someone would come up. All of a sudden we see 2 policemen, 2 security guys from the hotel and our duty manager get on the roof. We all just froze. Police tells us people called, saying there are people doing suspicious things on the roof, and due to it being next to the airport, they needed to investigate in case of terrorism. They took our names and checked our data and left. Duty manager had to write and report on what happened. I was sure I could pack my bags. Next day followed. I got called into HR and they told me that I fucked up. I was like, yeah, I know. I was ready to get fired. They gave me a warning letter and I left. I, 16F at the time, used to work at this fancy pet store for rich people. They could come in and pay to wash their dogs in this side room, and the benefit was that we cleaned up all the hairy mess. I loved cleaning it because if there was not someone waiting, I could spend half an hour in there making it super clean and it would help time pass by. One day a costumer, F, came in with her dog. Can't recall the type, but it was big, and proceeded to use the wash. I was working with just me and my manger, 50ish F at time, so I went in to clean the dog wash. I couldn't reach over the big metal tub very well, so I had to use a step stool to reach in. There was a hose attached to the wall, so I would rinse all the hair into this hair catcher thing by the drain, and then place the hose back onto the wall. I did this and cleaned out the hair and then went on to dry it with the dryer hose. The hose was super loud and this was the time consuming part. After approximately 15 minutes, because I like my alone time, the tub was completely dry and I stepped off my step stool to a finished job. When I stepped off the stool, I stepped into about 3 inches of water because I hadn't turned the hose off all the way and it had been leaking the whole time. I started panicking and used the guest towels to push as much water into the floor drain as I could, but the towels were no match for this tsunami I made. I frantically went outside in search of more towels, pushing a decent amount of water out of the room when I opened the door, and lo and behold, my manager was there with a customer waiting for the dog wash. I chilled and slyly walked over to where she was standing to grab the towels from under the counter. Is the dog wash ready? Me, one sec. I went back in there, but the towels were no use. Defeated, I walk back out to my manager and tell her the truth. Well, slightly the truth. Not really the truth, but it's a truth now. Manager name. You will not believe what happened. The guest before left the hose on and flooded the room. And I've been trying to clean it the whole time, but the towels are no use. She goes, I knew that lady was no good, let me see the room. So we go over to the room and she is appalled in the audacity of the guest, and obviously I am pretending to be as well. She goes, she was trying to flood the whole store, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? This genius whips out a squeegee and blesses me with a gift and squeegeeing this water into a drain. I do everything with the guilt eating me alive, but get it done for the guest. My manager complains about the guest flooding the store for the rest of the night, and each time I think she is just trying to get me to confess. The next morning I go into work super worried that someone would look at the security tapes. And while there were no cameras in the dog room, you could see me go in for 30 minutes and then water starting to drip out during that time. I am ready to confess my guilt and ask for forgiveness, because my manager and I were opening together. When I get there, she is already there on a phone with a manger at another location. A manager name. You will not believe what happened last night. A guest tried to flood our whole damn store, but my name fixed everything. I guess I never got caught, but I should have been fired, so I hope it still counts. Thank you for the love, you dirty Calabasas kids. Comment down below what video I should do next. Until next time, the Calabasas Bitxh is out.